So YouTube, today I'm going to show you guys how to drive a manual. Something I believe everyone should know how to do, because you know, most of the, well, not most of them, but quite a few cars out there are manual. You know, let's say your friend or something's driving you somewhere, they drive a manual, and all of a sudden they have a heart attack or something like that, or they pass out, and you need to drive them to the hospital. Well, you don't got your car, you got their car, so what are you going to do? You can't drive the freaking car because it's a manual. Anyways, so if you look down here on the floor, we got 4 pedals. This one's just a parking brake. Sometimes there's a hand brake up here. This is a foot brake. We have the gas pedal. You all know what that is. We got the brake pedal, nice and stiff. And we got the clutch pedal. This is probably the one you're not very familiar with. So if you drive an automatic, you're probably not very familiar with this. So this here is the clutch, and what it does is it takes the power that's the engine's put into the transmission off to the wheels, to the transmission and all the gears and stuff to the wheels and stuff. So what it does is it takes the power away, so that way there's no load on the transmission and you can shift the gears smoothly, because you probably couldn't even shift them when you don't push in the clutch. And even if you're able to, it will put extreme wear on the transmission very fast. So what I'm going to do is start it up, reverse, I'm low on fuel. So now what I'm doing is, when I go into drive, I let off on the clutch. I give it a little bit of gas, and I let off on the clutch slowly. Now the vehicle will start to roll. That doesn't mean you just dump the clutch out, because it will stall out. You just push in the gas pedal just a little bit, and slowly let out, and the vehicle will start to roll. It's the biggest thing what people do is you just stall it. But I think, honestly, for me, is I had experience with using clutches, so I had somewhat of a feel when I got out, so I never really stalled it when I first started driving a manual. I think my biggest issue was shifting. So I'm actually going to take out in second now because it's a truck and it can do that. So what I'm going to do is let out on the clutch. Alright, now I'm just going to bring the RPMs up on the gas pedal till it's up to 2 grand. Now what I'm going to do is push the clutch in, push up on the shifter directly up to the side, and it will go right in. And now I'm in the next gear. You'll feel you have, the vehicle will take off as the RPMs go up. Now once I'm up at 2 grand, shift down to 4th. Now all vehicles vary, so it may not even be 2 grand, but now I'm up to speed again. And now what I'm doing is when I'm driving, I kind of just put it in 5th. And that saves on fuel. So, turn signal. Just gonna go right across here. So, RPMs go up, push in on the clutch, let off the, make sure you let off the gas. Then push up into 3rd gear. You can take your time when doing this, just don't take too long, because if the vehicle slows down, then you're just going to have to downshift again. So, getting on the gas, pushing the clutch, pull down. That's how I do it. I'm pretty good at it, so you know, you get pretty good at it after you drive it. After a while, you don't even notice you're shifting, you just do it. So now I'm in 5th. And this vehicle alone is probably the hardest vehicle to learn how to drive clutch on. I mean, this thing's a pain in the ass. Even I struggle sometimes driving this thing, especially in traffic. It's got a heavy clutch on it and stuff. But trucks are generally, so I'm in 2nd. So give it some gas. Now, like I said, don't try to do this with a car because you won't be able to pull out in 2nd. But make sure you don't have your foot on the clutch when you're driving, because you will wear the clutch out. I put in the 3rd. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to push in the clutch again, bring it down into fourth, which actually brings me to another thing. You can't, once you're moving, you don't have to ride the clutch like you are when you're going to take off, but you can't also dump the clutch out when you're driving, because this is what will happen. Let me shift down into third. Let me shift down in a second again. And this is what happens if you just let the clutch fly out. Didn't do it that time, but see how it shakes like that? You're putting too much force on the transmission at once. So see, I just dumped the clutch out. You see how it rocks back and forth? That's not good. You don't want that. So kind of just let it out smoothly, but you don't want to ride it like you do when you're going to take off. But you kind of just got to let it out smoothly. Just let the clutch out, and the gears, you'll feel it. You'll feel it. Just kind of like play around with it, and you'll feel it'll start to go through the gears much smoother than what it will if you just let the clutch fly out. Now, I didn't discuss downshifting, but I just did it there. What you do is, once you come to a stop, I'm going to try to downshift a little bit here. You put it into a lower gear, and you let out on the clutch slowly, and you'll see the RPMs go up. You'll see the RPMs climb up. You kind of just let out as slow as you kind of do when you're shifting gears between gears. But you'll see the RPMs come up. Oh, another thing. You feel how the truck's rolling back right now? Pushing the clutch, throw it in the gear. That's your park and brake. You also have that there. That's either e-brake or your parking brake, but you really can just use the transmission. Let me pull this out. Yeah, when you go to downshift, what you do is you basically, as you're approaching a stop sign or something like that, you push in the clutch and you shift into a lower gear, significantly low, so you may even go down 2 gear steps from where you were. And what you do is you bring it down in that gear, you let out the clutch, and your RPMs will raise up. This will slow the vehicle down. You technically don't have to downshift it, but it is a good practice to be able to know how to downshift and stuff, especially since downshifting can actually save your life if you were to lose brakes for any reason. Let's say one of your brake lines blow out. What you can do is you can actually stick a manual transmission. If you need to slow down fast, you stick it in the first. And now this isn't how you downshift. This is just how to save your life. If you downshift and you ride the clutch out as much as you need, you kind of just work it back as much as you need to let it out. I know my clutch is a little squeaky, but you kind of just let it out till the vehicle slows down. Now this will actually destroy your clutch if you're downshifting like that, but you know what, a clutch can be replaced but your life can't, so it's best to, that's one thing I feel more secure behind a manual, especially when it comes to brakes and stuff like that. I just feel like I have more control. It's also a little more fun. It gives you something to do when you're driving. So that's the gear pattern. So basically just shift down. So here in first, you let out on the clutch, push in the clutch, shift down. Now you're going again. So first gear taking off, give it a little bit of gas, it'll go. And now you're riding that gear, pushing on the clutch, pull down, slowly let out just a little. You don't want to slowly let out like you're taking off, like I said, just let out, but don't just like that. Let out like this. Kind of just as fast as you push it in, let it out as fast as you push